Hello everyone, welcome to Liberal Tarot. I'm Sherry, blue dot and a red state, utilizing tarot to help us navigate these interesting times we have going on here in the United States. I'm really glad that you're here and welcome. And also, real quick shout out, just to remind you, like and subscribe helps me grow my channel, and I really do appreciate it. So as I was, gathering all my stuff, together today to do readings, I had this breaking news that came across my news alert on my phone. New York Times is reporting that Newark Mayor Barakas is suing Alina Habba and Ricky Patel. Okay, not related to Cash Patel. I did double check that because at first I thought maybe it was a typo, but and Ricky Patel is not related to Cash. Just if you're seeing that name Patel around it, I just want to make clear that that is no relation, has nothing to do with Cash Patel, okay? Ricky Patel is a supervising agent with Homeland Security investigations who led the arrest of the mayor, okay? So this lawsuit accuses the federal authorities of false arrest and malicious prosecution and accuses Alina herself of defamation. He's seeking undisclosed financial damages and attorney fees. He also said that actually what he really wants is an apology and for somebody to be held responsible. Okay, so that was like, oh my, glad to see that lawsuit happening. And so I definitely want to look into, what's going to happen with Mayor Barakas' lawsuit. And then the second part of this reading is going to be just a real quick check-in. I'm probably going to be doing another reading, down the road on this, depending on what happens next week. But I also want to look into the Congresswoman McIver, who, if you remember, she was also arrested. She wasn't arrested during the visit. She was charged later. But it was that same detention visit. And so her preliminary court hearing begins June 11th, which is going to be next Wednesday at 10 a.m. in a federal court in Newark. And the judge has said it will be an in-person, has stressed that it will be in person. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to look at both of these. The bigger part of this is going to be just, this breaking news of Mayor Barakas' lawsuit. I want to look at that. And then just a quick, look at what's going to happen next week with Congresswoman McIver's preliminary hearing. Okay, so with that all being said, let's jump right in here. So I want to look at just base reading into Mayor Barakas' lawsuit against Alina Habba and Alina Habba, there it is, Alina Habba and Ricky Patel. Just what is going to happen in that lawsuit. Okay, as always, this is for entertainment purposes only. What is going to happen in this lawsuit? Okay, with that, the here and now, this is going forward, and this is a traveling forward card in the here and now. And what's interesting is what I'm seeing here are these swords. I'm surprised there hasn't been more court cases. So right now I'm just going to say that this is definitely the court cases that are going to be going forward. You get patience, and this is also a balance, balancing. I see this as balancing, like what we want with, physical reality, our emotions, to what we have to the physical world. This is also, the subconscious with the conscious, so this is all that, balance. Okay. The options. This is an interesting card, that Page of Swords. I always say this is not someone that you want to go into battle with. And so our options in this is now I was asking just a base reading into the Mayor Barakas lawsuit. And so I typically get these pages when it relates to lawsuits and the Department of Justice as they're not bringing their best. That or they don't have a legal leg to stand on. Okay, pages are going to be this is inexperience or not really knowing what you're doing. And it's also that, as I said, I often see these lawyers being sent in and they're like, there's no legal precedent for this. And when they tell the truth, then, oh, it was a mistake, then that lawyer gets fired. So this is telling me they're not going to have a really strong legal argument. And the options are, they could tell the truth, but they're not going to. Past experiences, the restrictions that are placed. So this past experiences actually could be several things. This could be the past experiences of this government has tried keeping congressional members and, the mayor out of these detention centers. The mayor, if you remember, was actually going because he was saying this detention center opened without the proper permits, and they weren't allowing anybody to go in to do any site visits, for those permits. Okay, they weren't allowing the officials in to do their jobs. Okay, so that is part of the past experience, is the restrictions. They're also restricting congressional members from doing, their due diligence of, they have a right to go into these detention centers. So there's, restrictions being placed in past experiences. This could also just be, the people that are in the detention centers themselves. Okay, so this card, this 8 of Swords, I'm going to take this as anything related to the detention centers. Okay, and the recent influences, doing everything under the dark of night. That is just, and it's almost like this is what is going to be coming out. And I think that this is what the Trump administration, they don't want any of this stuff coming out. And I consistently get that they do things for the photo op without really thinking through to the court cases. And then in court, if it's the same MO. They give the judges the runaround. They say, oh, we, state secrets, we don't have to tell you, or they just flat out lie. Or they just don't comply. They just don't, fill in the blank. They don't do anything that the judge asks. And so I'm getting that why would these detention centers be any different? They don't want the truth coming out about these detention centers. And this lawsuit that the mayor has brought, is that evidence is going to be coming out. They're going to have to defend their actions. Now, the other thing, remember that this mayor was arrested and then they dropped the charges. The government did. They were not going to, seek out any type of court hearing at all. And I really think it's because they know they can't defend it. They got their photo op. Remember, I keep getting, they want their photo ops, but that's it. They don't want to have to defend this in court because they know it's not defendable. And then the potential here, what we really want to know, the outcome is things are up in the air. This card is one of possibilities in the higher energy. In a lower energy, it's going to be, those illusions, smoke and mirrors, what you see isn't what you get. And so something that looked like, oh, we're going to arrest this mayor because of, whatever the reasons were that the government gave. I think they said he was trespassing, and it was like, no, he wasn't trespassing. That was, illusions. That was smoke and mirrors. On the government side, they just wanted the photo op and took that opportunity. On the mayor's side, he was like, you guys are operating under the dark of night without the proper permits. You haven't let the authorities go in and do those inspections yet. And that's what he was wanting to go in and see, what condition is this detention center in? And that's another thing. The Trump administration, they don't want any of this information coming out, because if they did, it wouldn't be under the dark of night. They would be, if they're so proud of this, why aren't they out there, letting everybody see? It's because they're not following the law, the conditions, from what's been reported. The congressional members that were allowed in, voiced concerns. And then they turned around and charged Congresswoman McIver over it. Okay, I'll be looking in that reading, or that will be part 2 of this reading. So I'm curious about this 7 of Cups, because this is, and this also, as I'm looking at this, the options and the potential is this administration, they don't have a legal leg to stand on, and so they're going to be throwing all kinds of shit to the wall. What can we say that will make this judge not, rule against us? And if you remember, Alina Habba, not exactly, doing real well with the judges there. There was one judge here recently that they said something along the lines of, she had higher expectations of, like basically, professionalism and, knowledge from, a government official in her role there. So yeah, so let's get this. I want more on this Seven of Cups. What all is the Seven of Cups going to entail? The Seven of Cups, it's funny whenever this card comes up, because it's one of, as I said, spin the wheel. It could be anything, surprises. And it's like, okay, this is why we're doing tarot. I want to know more about this. I don't want this card. I want what comes out of this card. So I just always laugh whenever I get that card. It's like, it's a frustrating card for me. Okay, Seven of Cups. What is it that we're going to be finding out of this in this hearing? And with that, this is someone who's battle weary. This is someone who is taking a step back, looking at their options. So let's see what else comes up here. The Empress. I also take this a lot of times to be our country. It should be our country, but right now we're not exactly, we're not in the higher energy of this card. This is someone who is, taking care of its people. In a lower energy, this government is manipulating and using. Okay, that's what this is going to be, a lot of manipulation. If we're talking about this current administration, and holding on to what they have. They want to keep this. They do not want stuff coming out. They are not happy with this lawsuit at all, because they are going to have to defend their actions, and their actions are not defendable. Okay, if I'm just looking at these cards right here, as I said, this is someone taking a step back, looking at what they've done in the name of our country and trying to hold on. And this is not, there's no legal basis for this. Okay, they can't defend it. So what's this judge going to do? What is the judge going to do? Is the judge going to allow this suit to go forward? And going forward, they try to put an end, putting an end to this and going back and forth. There is somebody who is trying to put a stop to this, and I wonder if like this judge, and I don't even know that a judge has been hasn't even been assigned yet, I don't think. Puts an end to this, and then like the going back and forth. I'm wondering who this King of Pentacles is. Usually I see this as, this is more along the lines of Congress. It could be Elon Musk. I've got some Peter Thiel readings that I'm going to be doing, and it could be him, but man with money is putting a stop to this. And then MAGA, this is like MAGA world, and it could be they don't want any of this coming out. This is throwing a wrench in their plans. So let's see here, or they make an offer. So who is this King of Pentacles? This is taking an interesting turn. Okay, this King of Pentacles, what can we know about this person putting a stop to this? There's going to be, it's almost like there's an agreement, there's a working plan, people rising up and trying to overcome. Okay, I am going to, I'm going to take a moment with this. Okay, so this is interesting that this is kind of taking this, I wasn't expecting this. I thought I would just do a real quick, I'm going to put out, my modified Celtic cross. And I honestly thought it was going to come up that the judge was just going to throw this out. Okay. But what came up, this is taking a little different turn for me. And I kind of am feeling like that last set of cards, I'll pull the thing back down for you to see, but I'm feeling like this is more a Peter Thiel. And as I am putting readings together, I'm noticing a Peter Thiel thread, and I'm actually going to go into that, all of that into a reading about Peter Thiel and JD Vance and Musk, and anyway, there another reading. So with this reading, it's like this card right here is telling me that yes, there's a lawsuit. This mayor rightfully brought this lawsuit, but there is so much more going on that we don't even know about. And I kind of wonder, what this card was what led to the whole Peter Thiel stuff coming out. So, yeah, I'm gonna pause this just for a moment because I need to kind of think about where I want to go with this. Okay, I'm back. I accidentally stopped that other reading instead of unpause it, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to stitch these two together. Good luck to me on the editing here, but I do want to continue with this. So what I want to take a minute because this was not what I was expecting to come up with. The court here, this court case that the mayor has brought, I don't think that there is somebody with money behind the scenes that does not want this case to go forward. And it's like, what are our options? What can we do? Okay. I was not expecting that to come up at all. And then I get this, people making deals behind the scenes. What was this? This was the people rising up and, overcoming. Okay. And I get these cards a lot, just with, when people find out the truth, they rise up. Okay. So with this, I have been getting like, we have all of this start of stuff, and then it like does it, and then like something else happens that isn't even related. So I'm kind of wondering if this isn't kind of what a lot of us are getting, in that, whether it's anonymous, whether it's, who knows what it is. Trump has a health thing. It's all of the above. China or Russia releases information. Who knows? Whatever this thing is, and then it comes to an end. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here, is like, okay, yeah, this court case can start, but then you've got this other thing that completely like makes this like it doesn't even matter anymore. So I'm going to ask, so that's kind of the side thing I've got going on here, which surprises me. I am going to ask one more time of what is the judge going to do at that initial hearing. Okay, just what is the judge going to do at that initial hearing with this? Okay, and the judge, the judge does not like this corruption and wants to know more information. And if you tie this in over here, whoever this wealthy man is does not want that information coming out. So expect, and this even could be more over here of, let me pull some of these back, go back to that base reading of, that's what it is. I had to put out all these cards. The government's going to delay. The government is going to be doing the same delay tactics. They're not going to be telling the truth. They're not going to be, it's like everything, the runaround, because whoever this is does not want the truth coming out about what this administration is doing and what they're about, because then that final thing is the judge here, the judge is literally looking at this corruption and wanting to shine a light into this. So they do not, whoever this is that's running the show, whether it's Peter Thiel or, whoever this is, they do not want this information getting out. This is not going to be JD Vance. This is not Trump. This is somebody else, okay, is not wanting discovery in this. Okay, so don't be surprised. I mean, expect the administration, Alina Habba to just continue that same deflection, okay, because they don't want evidence coming out. That's going to be That's what that is. Okay, so this reading is going a little long. I do want to ask real quick, though, about what's going on with Congresswoman McIver's hearing is going to be next June. Or, sorry, not next June. This June. June 11th. And it begins at 10 a.m. So just what's going to happen, base reading into Congresswoman McIver's hearing. What's going to happen with that? And I noticed the bottom here is it ends. I kind of wonder if the courts aren't going to throw that out. Okay. Queen of Cups. This is going to be the Congresswoman. She was there doing her oversight responsibility. She has a responsibility, a legal responsibility to do that. And that's what she was doing. She was acting within her official capacity. Yeah, and this is just like the Knight of Pentacles. We were allowed in. We were allowed the tour. And then all of a sudden, you know, the shit hit the fan. You know, that it's like we were down there. We were doing, you know, we had a plan. We had made the appropriate appointment to be there. And then all of a sudden, things got out of hand because, you know, these acting ICE agents, which I think that they have said it was Homeland... is it like Homeland Investigations, Homeland Security Investigations, or something like that? They're not ICE agents. And so they don't really know. This was a story on Rachel. They don't know how to do crowd control. This is not what they were trained to do. They were trained to do literally investigations into like international drug cartel stuff, not arresting people and crowd control. And so that's why things got out of hand, because these are people, they're not trained to do, they're trained in other things, and they're being used in areas that's not their expertise. Okay. And recent influences, yeah, this is wealthy woman. She was well within her, you know, I'm not saying, I have no idea what her background is as far as money goes, but this is telling me she was well within her legal rights. She was exercising her legal rights to go down there and to provide oversight. And so there's nothing here. It was like the government is the one that was acting irrationally. And the potential here is the Tower card. I want to know about this Tower card. Because the Tower card is that cosmic 2x4. So what is that all about? New beginnings. This is winning at all costs, but also knowing when to walk away. Let me see what else comes up here. And agreements. Positive agreements. And it's all falling apart. I'm wondering, are the Democrats, you know, inadvertently, you know, being a thorn in the, like, is all this stuff going to be coming out? What this Tower card? Because this is saying, like, there's going to be new beginnings, winning at all costs or knowing when to walk away, and new agreements are being made around this Tower card. But it's because of, you know, irrational action that brings this about. This, just everything falls apart. So I'm wondering, is this against the government in some way? Disappointment, you know, some fives here, shedding a light. And also Pam Bondi, she doesn't have any leg to stand on, and deals being made. Okay. This is taken an unexpected turn. Shocking that something this administration would do. Okay. With Congresswoman McIver's, overall, I don't think that this administration wants any type of discovery, because when there is any type of discovery, they get hammered by the courts. And so this is almost telling me, like, at that hearing, they may want to just drop this case because they know what will be coming out on that, you know, she was well within her legal rights. The surprise here is, I'm kind of getting this feeling, like in the cards, it's like, whoa, what, like, I'm getting stuff that I wasn't expecting to get, which is, I think that there's going to be more that related to this that this administration doesn't want to come out, that will eventually be coming out. Okay, that's the best I've got. I honestly, I really thought it was going to be I thought I was going to do an easy reading. These, the stuff is going to get thrown out. It's not that it's the gun not going to get thrown out. It's the what are we going to learn in that process. That's the surprising piece to this, that I don't think these cases aren't going to go away. And the one against McIver, the government could drop that. The one that the mayor brought, it would be the courts would have to throw that out before. And I don't see the courts doing that. I think there's going to be discovery, and we're going to be seeing more about just what is going on here, and that somebody, King of Pentacles, is desperately wanting to keep that under wraps and wanting to keep that hidden. So that's kind of what I got today. I will definitely be watching this and keeping up with this. As I said, I thought this was going to be kind of an open and shut tarot case, but anything with this administration is not easy and open and shut, except for their daily corruption that we see on a daily basis. And, we're going to be, I guess, learning more through this discovery process. And I got that same thing with the Judge Hannah Dugan, that she does not want the case dropped. She wants all of that. And it's not evidence, but that it's because the rationale, like, why did you do what you did? Like that, she wants the government to have to be put, on the stand and be held accountable under oath. That's what she wants. And I'm kind of getting the same thing here, but you've got somebody, whether it's a person or a group, does not want any of this to happen. Okay. That is going to be something to be watching for. And that's the piece I'm going to be watching. So thank you very much for joining me. If you're seeing this reading, hopefully I have figured out how to, stitch those two things together. My 16-year-old was talking to me about that. I'm like, oh, I don't need to know how to do that. Oh, apparently I do. So he may have to help me with that. Thank you very much for joining me. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next reading. Have a good day.